My stories were learned in my grandparents' home, where their grandparents also had heard them. They were given as payment by traveling folk, for a warm place to lay down their burdens. My stories are ageless. They never grow old. With each telling, they are born anew. And when my story is ended, I'll still be alive in the tales that I've given to you. That was from the poem Storyteller by Mike Jones. My name is Adine Beyer. I make movies, short films mainly. Although there is one big project I'm currently working on, and that has forced me to reflect and to wonder why. Why am I telling this story? I have endless options, and I chose one. Why this one? And that brought me to my next question. Why do we tell stories at all? Is it because they let us escape from our harsh reality we live in? But maybe our reality isn't so bad. What if the story we're reading or watching is far worse than our reality? Maybe then it is because we long to grasp any explanation for why we are here. Why are we alive? Or what are we supposed to do? Or maybe stories are just that, stories. A thing to pass the time by. To tell just for enjoyment. But I think there's more to it than that. I think we're drawn to stories, not to escape our lives, but because they are our lives. Whether it's a literal retelling of a person's life, like a biography, or only aspects of it. Whether it takes place in our own world, or in our present time, or a different time, or a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Everything is a recounting of one's experiences. Maybe the writer or someone else, but it's someone's. I happen to be writing about a woman, a singer from the 1960s. One of the reasons I think I'm drawn to this genre and to this music is because it happened. And I think the past, our past, my past, your past, it's all so important. That's one of the values that I was raised on my whole life, I think. With hearing older people tell their stories and internalizing that and, being able to bring that truth, their truth, forward. Whether that be through family, friends, or relatives who have survived some kind of trauma, like the Holocaust is an example from my life. I would hear from survivors every year on Holocaust Remembrance Day, being able to understand their stories and make sure something like that never happens again. Or whether it's hearing my grandfather talk about his days in a garage band in Seattle in the 1990s, backing for the former lead guitarist of the Sonics, Larry Paraba, and her story. The singer, Marilee, It's important to hear about these stories because they inspire us to create. History inspires us to create because history is life, and everything that anyone has ever created echoes life. Because with that, their stories live on. Even if only a single person remembers, their story doesn't die. I believe that our lives are so important, but it's also about what we leave behind. Because we're here for only 100 and something years, and that's if you're lucky. So why are stories so important? Because telling the stories and learning about them is how we truly live on, beyond what our bodies are capable of. And film, I think, is the most efficient way of doing that. The story is the most important aspect in a film, and I am drawn to them. With my ears, my eyes, my mind, my soul. With film, you can understand this person's story to the fullest extent, and that person outlives their actual lives by centuries. People in the first film ever created in 1895 are long gone, but me, an 18-year-old kid in 2025, has seen their faces, their pain, their joy, their lives, their stories. And they may be dead, but they are not gone. They are in my mind, 130 years later. And the Holocaust survivor that came to talk to me in high school, his story is still in my mind 80 years later. But no matter how long we live, no matter how long I live, my movies will outlast me. My stories will live forever. I know this might all sound ridiculous and not quite as really believable, coming from an 18-year-old myself, because I'm just starting this life out, but I really do believe that. And to be able to be the one to tell our history in a visual medium like movies is very important to me and is such an honor. Movies let us express and feel the history that either us or others experienced. The reason I brought up the Holocaust and my grandfather in a band is because all of history is important, no matter the good or bad. Right now I'm not making a Holocaust movie, but I know because my love for history and my nation in which I come from, I probably will one day. Because there's something necessary about film, not just reading or hearing about it. We can be told the story. We can even go one step further and read it in a book, with words that almost take us through that experience and evoke emotion. But movies are different. It's like using a microscope to sort of break down every aspect of the story, and you not only read about it or hear it, but you see it with your eyes and your soul. It's only through seeing it when you can truly understand. You see the pain and the hurt, but you also see the good and the joy. And that brought me to her, Marilee, to her story. She might not be Elvis, and I'm definitely no Spielberg, but we both have stories, we share that. She showed me that no matter how famous one gets, that isn't what defines someone and their story. Every story needs to be heard. And her story, I think, is one that needs to be told, that needs to be expressed. I've read up all I could find about her story, how she rose from just a 13-year-old pianist to the lead vocalist of many different bands in the Pacific Northwest, spanning years, decades, before being brought into the spotlight of the rest of the country, of the world. I read about how as popular as she got, there was something different about it. Something different about performing in front of those stadiums, arenas. I read about how there was something special to her, about performing locally. Being back where she started, teen halls, prom dances, and such. She preferred it better that way. Away from the studio and the screams, yet still in front of the crowd. I have read all that. Now I'd like to go to the next stage and hear it from her. Her own story from her, not from any article or book. And after that, I like to see it, by making it, by turning the words that she spoke when I interviewed her, and the words from the script, into something visual that can connect with someone in a deeper way, so that they can truly understand her story. And through understanding her story, they see something in theirs, unlocking something about themselves that they didn't even see locked away this whole time. By visualizing her story, the world can visualize theirs. As I said, there are 3 main stages to this process. 3 main stages to going back to history, to learning it. Read, hear, see. I would love to be able to step-by-step complete that process. And through that comes a 4th stage. Understand. And there I stood, reflecting on my thoughts, and every thought that came to me, just writing it down. I have a long way to go, but at least I know the why. Why did I choose this story? Why do I choose any story? Because I feel the need to tell stories, to cement people in time as if they are paintings in a museum, forever stuck in place, outlasting us all. Even themselves. Even me. My stories will someday surpass me. So why do I tell stories? Because it is what I was put here to do. Storytelling is my purpose.